Good morning again. You know, I'm not a therapist. I don't play one on television, but I am married to one, so I can fake the jargon a little bit. And I have learned about dissociative experiences. That's when one's mind and consciousness seems to start to leave the body. And at risk of being the fourth or fifth speaker and the second time around, I'm here to wake you up a little bit before we begin before our next presentation. Another piece of jargon or ethics that I've learned from my therapist wife, Devorah, is that self-disclosure is a very dangerous thing in the therapeutic environment. The therapist doesn't share too many stories about themselves. Well, I'm not a therapist, and self-disclosure may not be very good practice in therapy, but it's often very funny. So I'll share with you a little bit about how I have developed a relationship with a personal coach, a fellow principal, who's been doing it for a whole lot longer than I have, a fellow by the name of Rabbi Heshi Glass. We go back a long way. We go back as far back as about 30 years in his office, because I was a frequent visitor to his office when he was my principal when I was in first grade. When we started a professional relationship a few years back, he didn't remember me that well. I remembered him very well, and I proceeded to describe the inside of his office at Torah Emes Academy of Miami, where he had his microphone for the PA system, where his desk was, where his chair was. I knew it cold. We had spent many quality hours together. And I could tell you that although I was not the ideal Japanese-style student who sat with his hands folded on the desk with his back rigid and listened to everything his teacher said, I certainly lended some character to the school. And he remembered that, and he appreciated that. And I remember a lot of things from school, but what I remember most of all from my elementary school experience with him was the fact that he was always there for me, was the fact that school was a sweet environment, was the fact that I knew that there were people around me who cared. And that was that lingering feeling, that lingering flavor that I always had. Now, this is not just a unique experience for me. This goes back in time. Their story is told that the Rambam, as a youth of being 7 years old, was an unbelievably bright and intelligent young man. He was also a very active young man. And the senior Talmud Chacham at the time, the Ri Magash, as he was approaching his final days, asked that this young Moshe ben Maimon, who everyone just knew as a really bright and active kid, be called into his room so that he could give him a bracha, so that he could give him a blessing before he passed. And not only did the Ri Magash give young Moshe ben Maimon a bracha that he be a Talmud Chacham and a leader among the Jewish people, he finished his bracha with a kiss. And the Rambam would say that it was that kiss that stood with him, that carried him through. That same idea, that sweetness, the idea of care, the idea of love, that sticks with a person more than any single binary piece of information. School environments are just that. They're school environments. And sometimes people like me need to make a little trip to the office. It happens. But nonetheless, school environments can and should be warm environments. And it takes not just the school to do that, but it takes parent volunteers to do that as well. To make sure that the environment is not just academic, but warm and loving and caring. And as a principal, you know, and you have a short list of people who you can call to get things done and to take care of things. Because if they did it once and they did it twice, and they did it on really short notice, and they did it even shorter notice, then you know that you can call them again, because why take a risk on somebody else? Just call the same person who does it right over and over. Mrs. Rachel Isaacs is one of those people who you can put on your short list of getting things done. Whether it's a graduation party for a kindergarten, whether it's a siyum simcha that she can take care of, whether it's helping out in a classroom, or any other things, some of which may be more glamorous than others. She also is a lice checker. And she does it with a smile. That is the nature of a volunteer who gives their all, who wants to make sure that school is a warm, safe, clean environment for everyone to participate in. To make sure that those memories that stick with the children, more than the factoring, more than spelling, more than a single Rashi, is the warmth and the love and the environment that they grew up in and that they were raised in and that they learned Torah in. That is what remains with the child forever and ever. With that note, I would like to call upon our volunteer par excellence, a person who we can always turn to, always call upon, and know that not only will the job get done well, the job will get done extraordinarily well. As we have seen with the health fairs, etc., that she has put on, we've all benefited from them. We've benefited from them academically, what we've learned from them. We've benefited from them gastronomically, what we have eaten from them. And we know that when Rachel Isaacs puts a show on, you know that it's going to be spectacular. So with that, I'd like to present Mrs. Rachel Isaacs.